Hayao Miyazaki captivates us in various ways with his stories. The diverse animated works created by him are filled with reflections amidst fantasy, and they also showcase graphic beauty while addressing themes such as the search for identity in Spirited Away, ecological concerns in Princess Mononoke, the fear of subversion by the sea in Ponyo, and the disposition of the heart in Howl's Moving Castle. The Moving Castle, known as the strange walking edifice, is not just a backdrop for the story but becomes a character in itself. The castle is the first element that emerges from the mist as the animation begins. Its somewhat rudimentary appearance stands out amid the pastures it traverses. In this setting of peasants and simple folk, we are introduced to Sophie, a young woman skilled in a hat shop. She demonstrates competence in her work, going so far as to stay past her shift to finish sewing a hat. Sophie is a girl who doesn't see much beauty in herself. The Japan where Sophie and the other inhabitants live is at war and requires the help of wizards to fight their enemies. One of these wizards is Howl, the owner of the moving castle. Sophie crosses paths with Howl after rescuing him from a harassment incident by soldiers. Due to this encounter, the Witch of the Wastes curses Sophie, transforming her into an old woman. Determined to break the curse, Sophie sets out to find Howl, who has the power to change her back. On her journey to the castle, Sophie rescues a scarecrow who had also been cursed and affectionately names him Turnip Head. Upon reaching the castle, she meets Calcifer, a demon who made a pact with Howl, and Markle, the young boy who helps Howl tend to the castle. Miyazaki's fantasy prompts us to contemplate the dispositions of the human heart. Embittered by Howl's apparent lack of love, the Witch of the Wastes curses Sophie, intertwining their fates through a pact that gives life to the castle but binds them to each other. Turnip Head is cursed, and only a true love's kiss can break the spell, just as it severs the pact between Howl and Calcifer. Men at war lose their hearts due to the violence of the conflict, forgetting how to weep. As the proverb says, the heart is a heavy burden. The animation shows us that the heart is the core of human existence, driving decisions while being influenced by them. The human heart can be resentful, hide cowardice behind mere external beauty, and be imprisoned, but it can also harbor love, forgiveness, and care, as demonstrated by Sophie. Sophie willingly helps Calcifer, Turnip Head, and even the witch who cursed her. The same heart that has selfish, fearful, jealous, and insensitive dispositions is capable of love. Miyazaki wants us to reflect on the circumstances that harden our hearts. He challenges us to consider whether, despite the conditions that have shaped our hearts, we can still love our enemies, overcome our fears, and be instruments to help those who are forgotten and unloved by others. In alignment with the Bible, Miyazaki's call for heart dispositions lacks grace. Through grace, all inclinations toward sin can be transformed into inclinations toward the Holy Spirit. Every human being needs grace. Despite their seemingly beautiful actions, individuals may harbor selfishness, vanity, and rebellion against God internally. While actions may please outwardly, without grace, everyone rebels against the Lord. It is grace, unearned and undeserved, that transforms our most beautiful actions into manifestations of the Spirit. Miyazaki's call to heart dispositions resonates with grace. Through grace, our inclinations toward sin are transformed into inclinations toward the Holy Spirit. Every human being needs grace, and because of it, our most beautiful actions can hide egoism, vainglory, and rebellion against God internally. Though actions may be pleasing externally, without grace, all are in rebellion against the Lord. It is grace, unearned and undeserved, that compels us to fulfill the great commandment of loving God with all our hearts and, as a result, finding our treasure, the source of life, and the disposition to love our neighbor and God.